The program we're going to have is a welcoming song to start with by Tina Calderon, and then comments from his family members, and then a short history of John Tommy's amazing accomplishments by Leslie. And then we will open it up for people who want to share for 2 to 3 minutes about the relationship with John Tommy. And then we'll follow it up with a closing prayer from Tina Calderon. Okay, so Tina, you want to do the welcoming song?
Yes, Mi'iha Nehinkim, hello relatives. The song is actually what we call a traveling song. This is in the Tongva language, and this is what we sing for our loved ones who have crossed over. So you all know him, probably John Tommy better than I did. I did sit on the Sacred Sites Council with him for our sacred site called Burro Flats in the San Fernando Valley. But I didn't have much opportunity to speak with him often, other than emails and so on. But when Leslie asked me if I would do this, being a traditional person, of course, I said yes, because I believe that we need to sing these songs, these traditional songs for our tribal members. And in our tribal way, John Tommy would be my uncle, even though we're not blood related. So I sing this song for him, and I encourage you all to think about him and your relationship with him and all that he achieved. The one thing that we have in common, and I have much respect for him on, is that we are both protectors of our sacred sites, and we both stand for our Earth Mother and the waters that run through her veins. So with that, I sing this song. Weya, 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 ahasak wea hore, moriv gomokre. Yamonemi Tehovkopo ami Eoshun shumo chobocha Weya Weya Weya, weya, ahasak we aure. Moriv komokre, yamonemi, tehov kopo ami. Eoshun shumo chobocha Weya 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 Ahasak Weahure.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Wow. I wanted to give a chance to John Tommy's family to share.
Okay, this is Tony. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm one of 5 siblings. John was my older brother, and then I have an older sister and another brother, and then there's me. I don't know if you heard, I'm one of 5 siblings. John was my older brother, and we had kind of a unique childhood growing up. My dad was a plumber and in the military, and when he was in the military, he fell out of the back of a Jeep and injured his back. So he had bad back problems, and the doctor suggested my dad move us all out to the desert area. So he moved us to the Mojave Desert, a town near Edwards Air Force Base. So we grew up in a Quonset hut and on a chicken ranch with 10,000 chickens. and it was on a dirt road. It was pretty desolate. The next paved road was 10 miles away. So we had a very unique childhood. We really didn't have much of anything. And my mom and dad tried to provide, you know, as much as they could for us. But anyway, I have like one funny story about John. He decided he was going to build me a swing set out of some pieces of metal he found in the yard. And so he put this swing set together, and he was like, okay, get on. And I'm like, no, you get on first. So he got on, and of course the whole thing collapsed. So, you know, that's a funny childhood story, but he was a protective brother of me, I think, because I was, you know, one of the younger ones. So that's what I wanted to share with you. And I wanted to thank you all so much for putting this together. And I know it takes a lot of work, and, you know, I'm glad that he got to meet all of you and work with all of you. And I'm proud of him for his accomplishments as working with the wetlands, for sure.
Thank you so much, Tony. That was wonderful.
Hi, Dustin.
Hi, Dustin.
John, Tommy's son. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm John, Tommy's son. I'm one of two. I have a sister, Cameron, who wasn't able to join us today. Yeah, I was kind of surprised when I got the call that he had passed away. I kind of is probably not the right word, but it was very surprising, and the whole situation's been kind of chaos. But meeting my new friends that are, you know, Jeanette, Kathy, Leslie, Doug, and whoever else I met down there has been a blessing. He wasn't around much when we were kids, so I don't really have a lot of, you know, positive stuff to say about that. But I did end up with a really amazing family. My aunts and uncles and my grandmother and my grandfather and cousins. So I'm grateful for that. But other than that, I don't really have anything to say. I'm proud that he was, you know, putting a lot of effort into trying to save the lands and, you know, the indigenous people's rights and all that. So I'm grateful for that. But there's good things to come out of all this, and we've already had some good times. So yeah, grateful for that. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you,
And
Dustin.
I hope to see you guys soon.
Oh, that'd be great.
Stupid COVID goes away,
Yeah,
if ever.
it'd be great to meet in person. Great, thank you. And then we have Leslie has put together a short history of John Tommy's amazing work, protect the planet and his culture. And so would you like to read that, Leslie? Yeah.
I'd like to say this is, you know, only very partial chronology that we could sort of put together. So any other additions will be welcome. He was born, I believe, in 1953. And I did hear stories about the ranch. And what I remember was they had a coyote pup that sort of adopted them, I guess. And they named Sage. And the coyote lived outside their house and was sort of like their outdoor dog. I thought that was very special. He was in the military later in the Vietnam War, and I believe he did some kind of special rescue missions, which was pretty intense. When he came back to the United States, he, I believe, was having some difficulties reassimilating, and he said he went up to Yosemite and spent some time there. He worked part-time and he began climbing. And along with other climbers, including Yvon Chouinard, who later founded the company of Patagonia, they performed informal climbing rescues because there was no real rescue service there. And I guess they had acquired enough expertise that they could help others as well. In the late 70s, he moved up to Washington State. I think that's right, chronology. Married and had, as Dustin said, 2 children. And Dustin was born, he says, in 1980. In the mid 80s, John Tommy went down to San Diego for at least a couple of years where other of his family members lived. And I think he worked on boats, and he also worked building surfboards there. And he did tell me a story, I don't know if it was during this time period or another, that he was crewing on I believe, a yacht. And a small boy was on deck, you know, part of a family, and he fell overboard, and John Tommy just jumped right in to save him. And I think maybe he got a little bit injured from that, but the main point was there was no time to waste, and he just did it. So that is sort of indicative of his character, I think. Around 1989, we think he went to Hawaii, and he was there for some period of time. He helped the native Hawaiian people, in particular to protect a culturally important site on the Big Island of Hawaii. He helped litigate there successfully to stop a large hotel from being built on their sacred site. And he had a very great legal mind and would do extensive research. And he was even offered a chance to go to law school later back in this area. And he decided not to do it because, as he said, he felt he could be more effective outside the system as a tribal litigator. In the mid-90s, I believe, and Lois and Stuart can talk a little more about this, John Tommy was in Ventura County, and he worked with the Chumash, the Sespe Indian Resource Center, as well as environmental and community people, working against the giant Newhall Ranch development, as well as a proposed landfill and/or mine. And then he went back up to Washington State for a couple of years. And in 1998 or thereabouts, he went to Alaska, where he worked on boats and fishing. And he was a member of the Merchant Marine, was I believe, a master boat builder as well, which was an important part of his life. He also had built some musical instruments too, out of wood, I think a lute and guitar. So John Tommy was in Northern California after Alaska. And around 2002, he learned about the unearthing of Tongva burials on the west bluff of the Ballona wetlands in Los Angeles. He came down to help us try to save the bluff, which unfortunately we were not successful. But he did register the Ballona wetlands and bluff Sangna as an official sacred site of the Tongva people. Filed a lawsuit, which ultimately was not successful. He also tried to stop the digging up and desecration of many, many, many more burials at Playa Vista for a runoff channel. More recently, he was working to help protect the Ballona Wetlands Ecological Reserve from a proposed bulldozing plan. He worked hard day and night to protect Ballona until his passing on August 17th of 2019. And at the end of his emails, he had this saying, "Truth is our victory and honor is our prize." Truth is our victory and honor is our prize.
Thank you, Leslie. That was wonderful. I love that saying at the end. Truth is our victory and honor is our prize.
And originally, when he first was here helping on the bluff, he was working with Robert Gourmet and the Gabrielina Tongva Indians of Tribal Council, Indians of California Tribal Council. And he set up his own group, which he called Tatton.
Yeah, something like Territorial and
Ancestral.
Tongva Tribal Nation.
Tongva Ancestral Territorial Tribal Nation.
Right.
And that was their saying, or his saying, truth is our victory and honor is our prize.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so, so much, Leslie.
Yeah, it's amazing what he did in his life. We can open up the meeting to other people sharing 2 to 3 minutes a person and their memories and experiences with John Tommy. And we would have had, I apologize that there aren't more people with us today. We had about 20 people that had signed up to be on this, but I didn't get a chance to organize emails and get a whole reminder out to everybody. So I apologize for that. Anyway, we've got some wonderful people with us today. And so if you want to share, you would raise your hand on the screen and I'll call on you and you can share. So anybody like to share?
Stuart Fox has raised his hand.
Okay. Okay, Stuart Fox.
Yes, I'm Stuart Fox, and this is my wife, Lois. We first met John Tommy in the mid-90s. In the process, we were working with a very large community group opposing a pit mine that they were trying to put in just outside of town alongside Boulder Creek. And we had been already working for about 5 years, and we had won some and lost some, but it was coming to a head. And the mining company had very good lawyers, and they were using every bit of the law and every bit of procedure to make it difficult for us to express our opposition. And John Tommy showed up just at a time when we needed good legal advice. We had lawyers, but John Tommy had really studied the law. He loved the law, and he had a better knowledge of environmental law and procedures than anybody that we had. And he was instrumental in helping us get our viewpoints through and to get the authorities in government to recognize us and give us opportunity to present our views. He was instrumental in this. He also, we had a very broad community group, but he was instrumental in bringing in the local Chumash tribe as also members of this broad community effort. All of this was very important to the success. We did win, and he was instrumental in this. And one very important story, we had long conversations with him about the Native Americans and the importance of respect for the land. And at the end, we had a party, and as decorations for the party, we went to Boulder Creek and we picked up a bunch of boulders and brought them into the party. And when the party was over, John Tommy made sure that we took the boulders back to Boulder Creek to restore the land. And I think that is a very, very important of the many lessons that we learned from John Tommy.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
I also just wanted to say that one of the things that was interesting was that John Tommy, he formed a fast friendship with my father, Clarence Freeman, who was an engineer, a world-class engineer. And we were lucky to have him working on this boulder against the mining of Boulder Creek. And he and John Tommy became really good friends. And so you had this little old man. How old was Clarence about that time?
Well, he was in his late 80s.
In his late 80s. And John Tommy, you know, and they would sort of roam the halls of the Justice Department, and they would cause a lot of trouble.
The government.
The government sent.
Great.
Good trouble.
Good trouble.
Mm-hmm. Trouble. Good.
Yes,
That's
good, getting in good trouble.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Thank you. And I also want to welcome Judith Davies. I didn't welcome you yet, Judith. Welcome. Okay.
Are you going to show us a couple statues or carvings, Lois, that John Tommy did, or is that too difficult? Tommy had done some carving work that she said she might want to show.
This
This
is,
is a bowl made from a burl that he made in Hawaii from Hawaiian wood.
was it in Hawaii? I guess so. Yes,
Very nice.
Wow.
very, he was an extraordinary craftsman. I mean, he could, and an artist. He was a wonderful, wonderful artist. He was really amazing.
Wow.
It's very beautiful.
Do you know if that's monkey pod or koa?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the wood is.
I don't really know.
It was a burl, was a sort of a knot that's where all the branches come together, and he carved it out of this burl,
Right.
Well,
but much
what I
larger.
know about artwork and that it's not an easy thing when you've got the knots in there that way. You can destroy something as easily as create it. It's a very beautiful piece. I
It's a
know
beautiful-
John Tommy is a boat builder, so
Yes.
obviously he knows how to tool. That's beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you. It's a beautiful piece.
Thank you. Okay.
Kathy, this is Tony. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, I can hear you.
My brother got that DNA from my father. He was a great artist that made helicopters out of spoons and forks, and he was a great artist. And then my daughter as well is a great. So he got that pie craft from my father, and then it passes down the generation. So
Wow.
we have that in.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. What a great thing.
Dustin works in wood and
Yeah, same with Dustin. He's a great artist with wood crafting, and same with him. Dustin's great with that.
Wow. That's neat. Oh, it's funny how it runs in the family. Okay, anybody else like to share? Who's talking?
Copy. Douglas.
Oh, Doug. Okay, hi, Doug. Sure.
My phone.
Doug, are you there?
I'm here, but I can't the sound any better. So continue without, please.
What? Oh, go ahead. Try it now.
Thank you.
Okay, well, Doug, could you maybe, like somebody suggested, type something into chat where we could read it later?
Hi. Can
Hi.
you guys hear me?
yes.
Yes.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Hi. My name is Tammy, and right now Rudy didn't been able to be here. He would love to hear everybody of Tommy's story. We really appreciate that we were invited to this. I wanted to say good things. I was working at the State Water Resource Control Board. I've been there for 35 years and I retired. We met him and he's a wonderful person. He loved our work that we did there for the natives, and I just was so pleased that I've been able to meet him. He's a wonderful man. He knows so much knowledge of our natives. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm
Yes.
just making sure. Also too that we loved doing what we were doing at the Capitol there, and we would be gladly to continue. He did compliment me. I was the one that was working there for the tents of the native dancers. And Rudy was the security, and he was the one that did the flags and tried to fix it the way it looks nice for our culture. I just wanted to be pleased that we was so wonderful that he had complimented me and my husband, Rudy. So we were gladly to be praised by him. I'm just so sorry. I want to give the condolence to the family there. We have lost my mother as well, and it's really hard to lose the people that we really appreciate, that we're loved by. So I just wanted to let you guys know that we're going to miss him as so much. We had a lot of communication with him, and we just want to know that we have to keep on continuing to know about our tribal, our reservation, to know to keep us going, and, you know, being safe, and try to get everything that we can to make this country wonderful for our ancestors, and those that are alive, that we can, you know, have an upper hand and help each other. We need to get close and be together and have this spiritual for us here. So we shouldn't be separated and forgettable about us. I just wanted to thank you, and I wish my husband was here to thank his appreciation as well. But he just want me to give you guys condolence to the family, that he was a wonderful man, and that the family will be in our prayers always.
Thank you. Carolyn, would you like to make a comment? You'd have to unmute. Oh, good, you're unmuted now.
Not really, because they'll start crying.
Oh, like the rest of us. Okay, no problem.
I was just curious, Pammy, where are you calling from?
I'm sorry, I'm calling from Sacramento, California.
Okay. And you work
And
with
I'm a
Waterboard?
Apache Yaqui. Huh?
Oh, yeah. What's your tribal affiliation?
I'm a Apache Yaqui.
Oh, great.
And my husband is Cherokee.
Oh, I think I have a little Cherokee too. Hi.
Okay, great. Jeanette, did you say you want to share?
Yeah, I'd like to say that one day the cell phone rang and the doorbell rang. McPherson at the door. The other was Carolyn Yee. And Carolyn asked, she said she had been trying to reach John Tommy and she wasn't able to. And so I said, well, would you mind including Patricia on this phone call? And so the three of us spoke together. Carolyn, maybe you'd like to just add something if you could.
I tell you what, while Carolyn is thinking about it and while Jeanette's breaking up on us, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Tricia, that day I was over at Jeanette's and Carolyn called in right pretty much simultaneously as when I came in, and we were talking about John Tommy and how to make sure John Tommy stays with us. And we had a very emotional call from Carolyn, and it was very heartfelt and very warming to us to know that there are people in agencies that have relationships with JT that have been and were so heartfelt. I certainly have, excuse me, emails that I've done through Public Record Act requests that from different agencies that discuss John Tommy as being quite the pain in the butt. So for that, I think we all thank him very much because that's all good trouble. And but in any case, with regard to Carolyn, that meeting was, you know, a terrific outreach for us to be able to talk about continuing relationships that, you know, so much of my work with JT, I didn't need to know who he was talking to. All I had to do was pass him my information and data, and JT would take it and run with it and hand it off to different agencies and use it, and vice versa. And so when he did pass, which was quite the shock, even though in different phone calls he'd say, as long as I'm alive here. And I'm like, yep, you cannot die. All of that work still exists, and it's still a part of these agency people that did care a good deal about John Tommy. I have since been in touch with more people, and I would like to continue to connect the dots and to forward John Tommy's work. I know that if anything, aside from remembering him for being a boat builder and I was going to say a pain in the butt at times for a lot of different things, as he would say about me. We have a lot of work to do, and he still lives through all of this work. And there are archaeologists that know him from the Army Corps that want to continue to forward the work that John Tommy told me about, that, for instance, on Baiona, finding different areas that needed to have archaeological work done on them. And we will continue that. I mean, make no mistake about it. I'm here, I'm connecting the dots, and I'm not planning on going anywhere for a while here, and we will work on this. And I just wanted to say that thing about the chicken farm keeps sticking in my head, because as Douglas knows, Douglas Fay, who was on the phone, I rescued a couple of chickens at Baiona. And JT was part of trying to figure out what they were. And he knew because he told me about the chicken farm and how they had all these hundreds of chickens, and I had no idea. But we finally rescued those chickens, and they're in a terrific home now, a friend of Doug's, also a diver, someone that cares about Baiona. And so finding out all these different tidbits, and Dustin, when you talked about family and him not being around that often, I frankly was not aware of how many family members he had until past few years. And I do know that he believed that his family was pretty tight, did take care of one another. He felt secure, confident in the fact that there were enough of the family out there that the family was taking care of the family. And I think that made him feel that he could, bounce in and out and do all this work that he was doing. And make no mistake about this work. It is, I volunteer everything. And I had to put my career aside to work on this. There's a constant fire that needs to be put out. And I know that John Tommy was working in other areas aside from Baiona all over the place. And it really does take a toll with regard to relationships. It's like, I don't have any friends. This is so I don't have time, COVID or no COVID. And John Tommy worked a lot at this. I mean, it just is that all time consuming.
Okay, thank you, Patricia.
Filling up space here, right?
Okay, Lita or Leslie, would you like to talk or share anything?
Leslie, if you'd like to say something, I can go last.
I just wanted to say, speaking of animals, I had a dog, Summer was her name, and I don't know if we're going to show pictures, but there was one picture where John Tommy was being interviewed by Val Zavala from KCET television, and I'm guessing, I don't remember exactly, but it was probably about the burials at Playa Vista. And I'm sort of sitting down on the ground with Summer, who was very cute, perky shepherd mix next to me. And she demonstrated with us about the wetlands, and sometimes I was in a giant frog suit and it was the dog and the frog. And we were representing the four-footed and the other creatures. Right. And John Tommy had a real relationship. I remember with hawks, especially, somehow there was always some hawk and he would see it. And yesterday when I was driving back and had been talking to Kathy about, the memorial we were going to be doing, I saw a big red-tailed hawk fly overhead. And then I saw another red-tailed hawk perched in the upper part of a tree. And I just felt like, oh, there's John Tommy's connection. And I still find feathers. And I know regular people aren't supposed to pick up feathers, but apparently if you're Native American, you're allowed to. So I feel like I have, and John Tommy told me he was sure I had some Cherokee from my mother's side of the family. So I had a feather I was gonna hold up, but it's not in this room right now. And I also wanted to mention about Summer, the dog. So she was a sweetheart, but I had to go back east and visit with my mom for a couple weeks, and John Tommy took care of her while I was gone. And he took her up to Northern California for a trip, and then he taught her some things that was amazing to me. She had been afraid since she was young of doors because one had closed on her. He taught her how to push the door open with her nose. And when I got back and she showed how she could do that, she was so proud and happy. It was very clever and cute. And he also taught her to walk right next to him without a leash. And he would just say, walk nice. And she would just stay right next to him. And so I was amazed at how he could communicate with her, actually. So thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. That was wonderful. That's great.
Can I say something on Leslie's behalf about, this is Tony, John's sister.
Uh-huh.
Sure. The hawk thing has been in our family tradition. A Native American thing is when there's a hawk over you, that's somebody, a family member, whether it was John Tommy over Leslie or whatever, but that's one of our family traditions is there's a hawk over you, that's a family member that has passed, that is watching over you.
Wow.
So
that's great. That's great to know. Wow. Thank you. Ah, wonderful. Okay, Judith, did you want to say something? You have to unmute. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I met John Tommy kind of security in a roundabout way, having volunteered for Jeanette and her organization to do years back. This was in before 2000 or right around 2000, to do some videotaping of what was going on with the bulldozing at Bayona, phase 1, the beginnings, and also documenting the amount of water and the amount of vegetation and various things that I might be able to see. So I was a volunteer. Shortly after starting that, my husband and I went to Cuba, and we've been going every year since then. And I have to say, I'm an artist. First and foremost, I'm a sculptor and a dancer all my life. All my life. So to me, the idea that a rock is sacred or has spirit in it, plants have spirit, water is sacred. These notions are totally uncomfortable with that. That makes sense to me. And the unseen, the spiritual that is around us is real and makes sense to me. So long story, getting longer, I'm sorry. We went to Cuba and I was studying the African traditions there. And they're used to connecting with the ancestral world, the spiritual world, and receiving information, receiving requests, receiving guidance, receiving healing, etc. And I was learning about that as well. And that year, this high priest said, we have someone here in the ancestral world who is asking for your help. Not knowing anything about me, where I came from, who I was, what my background was. So I took that in a very physical and a spiritual way as well. Came back to LA to find out that they had just uncovered, 4 burials at Bayona, at the base of the Loyola Bluffs. And the likelihood of many more burials was there, and people were already up in arms, and I understood at that point why I was called. And I still feel that I am being called to be at the service, use my my talents, what I've been given to do, to speak through the arts, through you know, education, through teaching children. And at that point, I did what was called Ancestor Banners Project with 3 different universities and colleges and a high school, Venice High School, Loyola, and Cal Arts. And we made ancestor banners, large 3-foot canvas banners where the students were applying symbols. They represented the ancestors. We did over 100 of these over a course of a year. And in doing that and doing the protests and doing the education for the students, I learned more for myself and became more committed to this. And through that, I met John Tommy in some of these protests and some of these situations where it was obvious this was desecration of burials. And we all had to be, you know, absolutely resisting this, calling for the larger public. It was totally silent in the papers until New York Times had to publish something. So John Tommy, the more I met, you know, saw his work and heard him speak and see what he was doing against, you know, like swimming up Niagara Falls, I always say. I was so respectful and so in awe of this man and the knowledge that he had, and the dignity and the kind of just the stature that he invoked. You know, you could feel it. I still to this day have an abalone shell, and I don't know that this can be seen, but the abalone shell having to do with, you know, the ancestor banners that were exhibited at Loyola and Cal Arts and so on. And I just feel that that is a life-changing experience for me, and he was a part of that. And I feel compelled to continue to carry on the ancestors' request. Really, it's more of it's a spiritual journey as well. So, thank you, John Tommy.
Thank you, Judith. It's wonderful. Lita, did you want to talk?
Yes, I did actually. I was lucky to meet John Tommy doing work for the community, the broader Native community. I know my mom and him had this kind of back and forth habit of getting each other into trouble and finding trouble to tackle. And it was really a blessing to watch the two of them work, and their stubbornness and their drive and their belief that with work and with prayer that anything is possible. And he and I worked, mostly he was teaching me how to use the UNDRIP document at the United Nations and to use the power of that document and what it represented, even though, you know, this country sadly refuses to recognize it, and to take that knowledge and to learn about law and to learn about ways to rise up all the nations here on Turtle Island. And I just wanted to share with his son, we had many conversations, and always in all of them, he would mention his children, and he was always encouraging me to find a balance between the work and taking care of my daughter, and to not waste the time that I have with her, and to find a way of doing both the good work for the community, for ourselves, for the world, but to value my time with her. And it was something that I had a really hard time with, because I get swept up and I see, you know, the way I was taught is to kind of be humble. It's not, the work isn't about us, it's about the effect, the long-term effect. And it's really easy to get caught up in how important we feel that the work is, that sometimes we do forget those people around us. And we never ended a conversation without him reminding me that it was something that weighed on his heart. It was something that he regretted and he missed. And because of his constant reminders, I can now say that I have found that balance, to remember to spend time with my child, to remember to laugh and not think about all of the fights that are ahead. And I just wanted to offer my condolences and to thank you. I know you don't know me, but to thank you for sharing your father with us. And not just the successes and the failures, but just the constant day in and day out of trying to make things better for everyone. And so thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Lita.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'll share something. Okay, so yeah, John Tommy is one of the most amazing people I've ever met in my entire life. I mean, the way he worked and day in and day out to save all these places, and his knowledge of both the law and nature, it was like amazing. He was like a genius with all these laws. I mean, I would see one page of an environmental impact report and run. I didn't understand it at all. And he would take the whole EIR and just go through it and just, you know, come up with all these ways that it broke the law. And I just was like amazed. So I feel like I really, really, really depended on him to help us save the wetlands. And he spent a lot of the time doing it day and night, day and night, day and night, in a motel room in Marina del Rey. And he had about 6 computers there. And I mean, just tons of information, you know, stored on the computers. And he just, I couldn't believe it, night and day. And I wish you know, we talked almost every day. We'd say hello. And he had a good sense of humor. He'd joke around in the morning. And but I wish I would have gotten him out to walk more, because he didn't get out, I don't think, to exercise enough. So that was one of my regrets, that I didn't make sure he got out to exercise and stay healthy. But anyway, and so, and I liked that he was the most likely descendant. Genetically, it was proven, and he really, really stood up for his culture. And I miss him very, very much. I feel like he's still with me in spirit. And part of that may be because I'm storing his ashes in my living room until we have the big memorial at Ballona Wetlands. But he's just just an amazing person to me, and I miss him extremely a lot. And I guess I was just sort of mostly blown away by his genius. He was a genius when it came to environmental law and the way he put it to use to save so many wonderful places. Thank you.
Sorry to be anybody, but on behalf of our family and Dustin and Cameron, we want to really thank you so much for putting this together. It's nice to hear like things about my brothers. Thank you.
Wait 1 second though. You can see Jeanette's on the phone. I'm on the phone, and you guys can hear me, right? Jeanette has a lot of stuff that she has accrued from John Tommy that she'd like to share with you, and she wasn't able to speak. So I think it's important to try and stay in touch after this. And if any of you are interested in garnering some of John Tommy's things and what he has written, Jeanette brought up, you got anything else you want to say to me specifically, Jeanette? That, but she does have videos. We have certainly everything that's on the website, but she has videos in addition to that and things that he has written up about Native Americans that he wrote. Is that right, Jeanette? Yes. So we need to stay in touch so that we can communicate on some of these things if you guys would really like to pull in some of this. And I do know that as far as the work going on into the future, it would be helpful for us to stay in touch also and to help continue to connect the dots. And I do know that JT would want that. So any of you that are willing to, I'm willing to. Lita, the stuff that you're talking about, I did not know about. I need to find out more from you. And Pammy and Rudy as well. And you know, all of you, and Tina, I've only just now met you also, and your song was so beautiful. I am now also working with Anthony Morales, who has stated that he and his family would pick up and work on all of the issues that John Tommy was a part of. Anthony Morales was, he's from the mission band, you know, the Gabrielino Tongva mission band of Indians. And so he was actually involved during that whole unburial. I don't think, you know, I've recently given talks that JT created presentations. He would not call it an unburial. And we are working on that. Anthony is now involved in that. So before anyone leaves, just know we're here and we want to continue with this. And this phone thing is because you're seeing Jeanette with the phone because you can't hear her. If you're not aware already of Grassroots Coalition, certainly Tatton, I'm looking at his, it's tongvanation.org you can go to, or you can go to grassrootscoalition.org, which we have our area on our website for John Tommy. But John Tommy, you know, I am, if only to listen to his voice, it's a very comforting thing to go to his website. I want to make sure that website is maintained, and he has a lot of information on it. He has documents on it that we haven't gone through everything that's on there. Electronically. We're still going through records of his, and so we stay in touch, okay, guys?
So on the email my sister sent me, there's a number for Jeanette.
Yes.
Is that a good contact point?
Yes, 72, it's a 310 number, the 721-3512.
Yes.
Yes, good
Okay.
contact.
Excellent. Yeah. And I would be excited to hear from, to speak with you, because we're actually, my family is doing 4-year mourning period for my mom, but we're restarting Morning Star Foundation, and John was so important in helping us to get all of that done and to make it happen so that the work could continue. So I just wanted to make sure I had the right number.
Great, good
Thank you.
news. Glad to hear it.
A lot of work to do ahead that, and Dustin, anytime you want to jump in and be a part of it, I'd love to have the help. Also, as I said, go to grassrootscoalition.org. And by the way, when you do get onto tongvanation.org, look on the left-hand side that has the language again that you can click on. And if that doesn't work, go to the search box and actually write in what things that JT has listed, and it will pull up under that. And all his videos are there. His videos, he talks through in a very conversational way, things that he was working on, doing, looking up. So it's, as he used to say to me, is it okay with that, and I said, you know, I find it very relaxing to listen to you just talk about this. So leave it the way it is. I love it. It works. And those are part of the tools that we're using now. And it's, I can't say enough about how nice it is to go back to just listen to him.
Okay, thank you. So I guess everyone who wanted to speak got to speak. If there's anybody I missed, let me know. And Judith?
I just wanted to say, I recently typed in TATTN and got to his site as well, or, you know, information that he's put out there. So I don't know if it's totally all his information, but TATTN will get you to a working site also.
I'm sorry, but Lita, also have a look at Jeanette's name, or any of you have a look at Jeanette's name, get that written down so you have the spelling. And it's Jeanette at savebayona.org is one of her email addresses, just as another backup for you.
We'll have the closing prayer now. Tina?
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this prayer first in the Tongva language, and then I'll say it in English as well. Mayanar akupyavet wishmenokre, de hovsunar te kupangaro, ekwenak chichinuhum ahihirom koi emutrahat. Ekwenak ohor, Bayona Wetlands, Banyan Ranch, Bolsa Chica, Burro Flats, Pawungna, Koiwe, Tawangar. Ekwanak Momat, Poruravet, Koiwe Par. Ekwanak Nehinkam Anoven Koi Aachum. Akwanak Waharin, Tume, Komi, Ketaime, Koi Paime. Ekwanak Jantami Rosas Tupangaro. Mayanar Hionach Eoshunshun Ekwanak Tau. So I've asked Creator to take care of the babies, the elders, and all the people. To take care of the sun, the earth, Bayona Wetlands, Banyan Ranch, Bolsa Chica, Burro Flats, Pawungna, and the whole universe. To take care of the ocean, the streams, all running waters, all waters. To take care of the plant medicines, those relatives, and the animal relatives. To take care of all life, in the north, the east, the south, and the west. And to take care of John Tommy, Rosas in the heavens. And I finish with Creator, you know our hearts, so please take care of all. And again, I thank you for asking me to give John Tommy this honor of sending him off in a good way and remembering him always. Tehov Kopo Ami, may you all go well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tina. It was beautiful.
Thank you,
prayer. I just want to thank everybody for attending, and we hope to see you next year for a memorial at the wetlands for John Tommy. So take care, everyone. Stay healthy and safe.
Kathy, thank you for everything. That was really beautiful.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you all could attend. We could be together.
Sorry, I can't on the Zoom, but at least I could hear you.
And thank you, Tina, for the prayer and the song.
Thank you, Tina.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you all for being here and sharing. It's very special.
Thank you.
I think he'll be in our hearts forever.
Thank you all.
Point of everyone emailing Jeanette is to be able to share this stuff. And so that's why she's asking again to make sure you get in touch with her, send her an email, and she can share some that way as well.
There's Susie Summer and where's John Tommy? It's too hard to see.
We saw Summer.
Saw Summer, oh good.
Saw Summer.
And there we are demonstrating.
All right, with the dog.
Right. Across from the bluff that we tried to save
Yes,
our bluff.
I get it. Now I see it. Yes.
John Tommy on at the boats.
Beautiful.
He worked on boats.
He actually worked at the Channel Island Harbor in Ventura County also at one point on some boats.
Here's a picture of him. I don't know what he was doing.
I would wait if I were you.
Well, here's some. I got some. Here's one.
Ah, nice. So that's Robert Dorame and John Tommy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And this
Here's
is the when there was some burials dug up at the Loyola Bluffs.
Yeah.
Or if you can see this.
I think that's at the wetlands. And here, Judith's showing, this is Charlie Cook, who was a Chumash elder and came down for some of our events. And
That was at the protest of the burials being dug up and their desecration by the flooding that happened, the tremendous flooding that washed so much of that site into the wetlands and into, as John Tommy was indicating, into Biona Creek through these illegal drains. So it's an ongoing issue, ongoing protest, but here it was at Lincoln during the time of those rains. It was February 28th, thereabouts, in 2004.
Tina, did you know Charlie Cook?
Yes, very well.
Yeah, he was very active.
Here's a picture. I don't know if you can see these. It's John Tommy with Summer, the dog. And here he is fishing.
Oh my gosh. It's huge. John Tommy was tall.
He doesn't mess around, even with fishing.
Oh my gosh. Boats.
Boats. Here's Summer sitting on a
Aw.
Summer that he trained.
She loved being with him. Yeah.
Yeah, he was good with her.
I think that's all the photos I can find.
Well, one thing I was thinking that Doug Fay might have said was John Tommy, you know, they were working on a way to try and help clean up the Marina del Rey Harbor from all the whatever metals leak off of the boats and the paints and so on. And that was a project that they were working on when John Tommy passed away. So
Because of John Tommy, that the state is paying attention to the zinc that has come off into the waters there. But for him, they would have passed along on that, but he alerted them to all of that. And actually, Carolyn may have been a part of that at the time.
He went through a big thing to get them to pay attention to the toxics in Marina del Rey. And I remember he drove up all the way to Sacramento or somewhere way up the coast to go to a hearing and to speak for a few minutes. I mean, you know, and to meet with people also. He just, you know, he really, really worked hard on Marina del Rey. Trying to get he finally got the EPA out there and they admitted that it was toxic pollution. And I think that's why they want to bulldoze the wetlands and change it into saltwater bay, because the Marina del Rey is polluted. You can't really eat the fish anymore there. They don't even grow anymore there. So anyway, that's my thought. Yeah. But he just, it's amazing the list of things he did.
well, and I could say one other time we went up to San Francisco. The developer who wanted to build on West Bluff was Catellis, and Kathy from her family was a shareholder, and she and her brother gave John Tommy and me proxies so we could go to the shareholder meeting and speak about needing to save the bluff, and that they were scraping it and digging up burials right at that very moment. And he was so effective. People came up to him afterwards and wanted to know what could they do. But at that point, there wasn't really any shareholder action as such. But the CEO of the company actually said in response to us that they would be willing to sell the bluff if there was money available.
Yeah.
And so that was a huge moment, actually. And unfortunately, we went next week or so to Sacramento to the Wildlife Conservation Board, and they did not support. They were supporting spending top dollar for the wetlands below, but probably because we hadn't made enough contact with them ahead of time, I don't know, but they did not pay attention to us trying to put some money up to save the bluff above the wetlands. And it really was the uplands of the wetlands. The birds flew back and forth, and so did the other animals. But anyway, it was very instructive to go with him and listen to him speak, because he was very powerful.
Yeah, he was a fabulous speaker. He just totally knew what the issues were and how to back it up legally. Anything?
I'm going to disconnect, but I just wanted to thank you once again, and I give you all my deepest condolences. You guys are his family, so may he rest in peace.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you so much for everything you did to help us celebrate him today. The prayers and the
Thank you,
song.
Tina.
And
It was really
everything.
important that you join us.
Thank you. Again,
Yeah.
the Ho'opo'o Army, go well.
Thank you. And the best of wishes for you and your work too.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Are we signing off, Kathy?
Yes, so I hate to say goodbye to everybody, but I guess we will.
Hi, Lita. Be sure we can keep in touch with Lita.
And everyone.
And Pammy. Bye. Thank you so much, Tony and Dustin as well.
The program we're going to have is a welcoming song to start with by Tina Calderon, and then comments from his family members, and then a short history of John Tommy's amazing